WrestleMania 41 had one job, just one job, and they blew it. Listen, I watched every WrestleMania, and Cena winning a world title for a record-breaking 17 times should have been a big deal. But instead, this was lame, this was lazy, and it was just straight up mid. And the thing about it is, that wasn't the only problem. They had not one, but 2 nights of stuff that didn't scream biggest show of the year. What we got across 2 nights was a mixture of lame booking, flat finishes, and stories that either didn't matter or made no sense. Let's break down exactly what went wrong and where surprisingly it almost worked. Let's start where everything just fell apart. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the WWE title. So Cody came in as champion with all this momentum behind him. But the way they booked this was ridiculous. Baffling, I would say. A slow, awkward, bad match that capped off by a random belt shot. And Travis Scott had a full entrance. And that's how Cena won. Now don't get me wrong. Cena winning isn't the issue. It's for one how lazy this heel turn has been. And the finish itself. Not to mention the match itself. So we went from one of the biggest heel turns in wrestling to one of the lamest finishes in WrestleMania history. This gets 1 3/4 star. Then we had CM Punk versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman at ringside. So this was the main event of night 1. And yes, I say main event because we all know by now, after WWE doing this for about 5 years now, that the real main event is night 2. So this gaslighting still that CM Punk finally main event at WrestleMania is just hilarious to me. But as far as the match goes, the in-ring action was sharp, and I thought everyone held their own. And it was a pretty good match. Then the predictable thing happened of Heyman turning on CM Punk, turning on Roman Reigns, and now he's aligned with Seth Rollins? Bro, who honestly cares about this? Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins. I don't care about this. This gets 3 3/4 stars. Now let's talk about something that was actually satisfying. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu for the US title. This was good, physical, and had real energy here. Night was over, Fatu came off like a star, and this woke up a horrible crowd on both shows. And it's a good thing Fatu won. This is a rare case of the Fed actually doing smart booking and doing a strong WrestleMania debut for Jacob Fatu. This gets 3 1/2 stars. Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair for the women's world title. Now it's no secret how I felt about this build. It was one of the stupidest things that I've seen when it comes to a WrestleMania match. But as far as the match goes, these women brought the pacing, the near falls, and had a big match presence to it. And the crowd was engaged in this one too, though I still don't get why Io Sky is the women's champion at this point. So while the build of this wasn't good, the match itself was pretty good. This gets 3 3/4 stars. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's title. There's been a lot of mixed opinions about this match. So for me personally, I can acknowledge that there was some questionable transitioning and some questionable spots here and there. But in the end, I thought they managed to still have a really good match. And particularly for both of these shows, I thought this was one of the better things on the shows. I give this one 3 1/2 stars. Intercontinental Championship Fatal 4-Way, Braun Breaker, Finn Balor, Penta, and Dominic Mysterio. I thought this was one of the more fun matches on the card. The pacing was tight, the spots were creative, and everyone got to shine. Now y'all know how I feel about Hispanic David Flair, aka Dirty Dom, but him winning, I thought actually worked here. I cannot believe I just said that. This gets 3 1/2 stars. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest in a Sin City street fight. So let me be honest here. This didn't feel like a street fight. It felt like a wrestling match with weapons. So when I look at it like that, I say it was a good match. But again, this wasn't a street fight. This was a wrestling match with weapons. This gets 3 1/2 stars. Gunther vs. Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight title. So one thing I was hoping about this was after their pretty mid Saturday Night's main event match, I was at least thinking we would get something better. And this was not the case. Jey Uso won via choke, which shocked me and a lot of other people. Not because he won, but how he won. But besides all that, this was a pretty mid match. And even though people love Jey Uso for his entrances, when that bell rings, y'all got it. This gets 2.5 stars. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I was actually disappointed with this. This didn't really had a second or third gear to this. I'm not quite sure what went on here. But yeah, this just wasn't it here. This gets 2.75 stars. Rey Fenix versus El Grande Americano. Now on paper, you would think this would be great. But then I forgot where they're wrestling at. And to no surprise, it didn't live up to expectations. So while it wasn't a disaster, it didn't come close to expectations. This gets 2.75 stars. Randy Orton's open challenge. So the person that answered the challenge was the TNA World Champion Joe Hendry. Now sure, at first when you saw Joe Hendry coming out, you would think, oh, that's a cool moment right there. But for people like myself that actually watch TNA, I'm saying to myself, oh man, he's the TNA champion and he's about to look like a geek out here. And that's exactly what happened. Not only did Joe Hendry lose via RKO, he got RKO'd again. And this is supposed to be the TNA World Champion. This is quite a partnership, but whatever. This gets 2 stars. The women's tag title match, Lyra and a mystery partner versus Judgment Day. So to no big surprise, Becky Lynch came back. And this match sucked. Didn't care. I did not care. Becky and Lyra are the champions. Whoop-de-doo. This gets 1.75 star. Now here's the thing. Not many people was excited about this show going in. And in the end, it lived up to expectations, where there was no really big reason to care. And to think again, you had one of the biggest heel turns in wrestling months ago, and it culminated to this. We got a long few months before John Cena retires. So I hope you guys are ready. As far as WrestleMania 41 goes as a whole, very lame. Very, very lame. Super lame. This gets a 6.0 out of 10. Not recommended. So let me know what you guys thought. Did y'all actually like WrestleMania 41? Was there a particular night that you guys enjoyed? If so, please let me know. If you enjoyed this review, go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe, and share this video out with your friends. And for that, I'll see y'all later.